1976 Cadillac Eldorado Convertible, owned by former governor of South Dakota, Bill Janklow. Only 14,000 of these cars were ever built in the convertible style. Anyway, walking around this car, you notice it has old historical plates, because in South Dakota you can have old plates on your cars and use them as normal plates. We have a big old Cadillac logo right here. You get quad headlights on this car, as well as these little pillars right here with the Cadillac logo. On the side of the car, you have these cornering lights, so when you turn on your turn signal and you have your headlights on at night, these light up the way, which is very futuristic, which most cars nowadays don't have that. As well as you got your turn signals here. Below the headlights, you also have turn signals right here, which are very low on this car, underneath the bumper. Right here you have your fiber optics that show you. Right here would be, I think, your headlights. Right here would be your turn signals, and right here would be your high beams. I guess when Bill Janklow had this car, he went to the Naples Bath and Tennis Club. And your windshield wipers are recessed into the hood, so you don't get those ugly looking windshield wipers. So it has a nice clean look up here. We have a power antenna, by the way, that would go up normally, but ours is sadly broken and it costs way too much to fix, and I have a different radio solution in this car. Down here you can see the hubcaps, which used to be black, but the paint started to wear down and look really bad, so I took off the paint, shined them up, and now we have chrome hubcaps. Anyway, for this being a South Dakota car, it has the South Dakota State Parks entrance fee for 1986 sticker, as well for its heritage of being Bill Janklow's car. It has the Bill Janklow 1994 pin that would go on a shirt, but now it's in a windshield. Something on these mirrors as well is they always have these pittings in them, which for my car, it must have sat out during winter sometimes, because if you look down here, you can see we have some rust starting to form along this little panel down here, which just collects water and stuff, which is really a bad design. As well as this trim line right here, which has moisture get trapped in and it'll rust it out right there. The previous owner to me also hit something with their door, so there's a big gash in the door right here that needs to be buffed out. Anyway, walking around the car, we have our white wall tires. It says Eldorado in the back, and these bumper fillers, they always tend to fall out and just disintegrate, which they're like $2,000 to replace these, so I'm glad we have them on this car. Anyway, on the back of the car, we have these two little backup lights here, where we pop our trunk right under there with the key, and our turn signals, which on the 77 and 78 Eldorados, these would be the turn signal lights, but these are just reflectors. And here's our turn signal lights, which used to have metal trim around here, but the screws got so worn down that it fell off. But I have them, but they're split in half, so I gotta like glue them together or something. It happened on both sides too, which I have both pieces, but it's kind of unfortunate. Anyway, it says Eldorado right there. And a fun fact is, where you fill up your gas, you have to pull this up, and you fill it up right there. Right here is a rust spot, which I don't know how this rust spot occurs. So I guess water just channeled through this little channel right here and got stuck right there. I do have the party boot for this car, which would go over here, and this is where the people would sit on the party boot and then like wave to the crowd. But the party boot got so worn down that there's more primer than there is paint. Anyway, let's go under the hood. And here's under the hood, the 500 cubic inch or 8.2 liter engine. So far on this car, I've had to replace the master cylinder and some seals and the water pump. But just today I learned that the transmission might be slipping, so that's not a good sign. Anyway, let's go to the inside of this 1976 Cadillac Eldorado Convertible. Since it's front wheel drive, it doesn't have a tunnel right here, it's just flat. On this door trim right here, it says interior by Fleetwood, body by Fisher, because Fisher used to make the bodies for these cars. Another thing to note in my particular car is that my power seat controls do not work because the wires got frayed, so I capped them all off and just put the seat in a position that I was comfortable in. On our door, we have this nice fake wood trim, as well as our door locks, power windows, our window lockouts, and our mirror controls, which this is only for the left mirror. For the right mirror, it's this little toggle down here. Here's our headlight controls, as well as our gauge dimmer and brightener, our climate controls, and our cruise control, which I have never touched and I really don't want to touch. As well as our wiper controls, which this is a very problematic machine right here, which mine somehow still works. Up here we have our fuel gauge, which mine hesitates to work sometimes and will kind of shake its little finger at you because it doesn't know what it is. So sometimes it'll say full, sometimes it'll say empty, but sometimes it also does work. Here's our steering wheel. In the middle here we have our gauge cluster, which our speedometer doesn't work, our odometer doesn't work, but our gear selector down here does work, which that's the main one because you kind of just assume how fast you're going in this car. Over here is where you control your convertible top and your power antenna. Here's the aftermarket radio, which I converted this radio to just connect to your phone with a Bluetooth module. So when you turn it on, it'll just connect to your phone and then you can play whatever you want from your phone. Up here we have a flip clock where these little things would flip, but sadly on most of these Eldorados, these do not work anymore. Right here is our ashtray, which as you can tell is very big. You do get on this car 2 armrests, which some have just a very large armrest, but mine has these 2 little armrests. On the driver's side, you don't get a mirror, but on the passenger side, you do get a mirror, and it's lighted. So you can make it lighter or a bit darker. In the glove box, you also have this little button right here, which you can either hit this button to open the trunk or you can put the key in. So let's hit the button. After we hit the button or put the key in, we can look at this big trunk, which we have fit a person in this trunk. When Bill Janklow bought this car in 1986, it only had 40,000 miles on it. And if you know that address right there, that's the governor's mansion. Here's a picture of the car in service. On the passenger side, you do get these window controls up here. You get power locks, and you also get this very big ashtray. You also get these very nice lighted and reflective little things here. So when you're getting out at night, it lights up the ground so you can see where you're going, which doesn't really light up the ground, but they tried. You also get these grab bars on the back too, just in case the driver's going very quickly. You do get an ashtray right here, and you get to control your little window right here. Getting out of this car, you pull up this thing, it pushes the seat forward, and then you pull this, and then the door opens. That door has 2 door handles. Now let's go for a ride in this 1976 Cadillac Eldorado Convertible, owned by former governor of South Dakota, Bill Janklow. Now driving this 1976 Cadillac Eldorado is quite a fun experience. First of all, I'm not really used to driving a car this big. Second of all, you have to watch out for hills, because if you park on a hill and it's too steep, you'll roll down the hill. The steering in this car is very luggish, I should say, because you can't really steer in this car. You kind of just put it in one direction and then go in that direction. So taking this on any sort of curvy road is not the most enjoyable experience. And that's my look at this 1976 Cadillac Eldorado, owned by former Governor Bill Janklow of South Dakota.